Good morning. Welcome to the Sports Parade magazine, not the daily podcast. Today we have a new feature. It's going to be our video blast. Our video blast where we take one topic and we break it down. And you know that New Orleans accent. I'm your boy, your host, Mark Clark, publishing editor of Sports Parade magazine. And like I say, I always give it to you straight with no chaser, baby. This is going to be a new feature. So in addition to iTunes, where you can pull up the Sports Parade magazine podcast, the Spreaker app, smartphones, the computer. We also have a phone feature. You now can go to YouTube, the Sports Parade magazine channel. YouTube, the Sports Parade magazine channel, where you can even listen to the podcast, or you can hear this new video daily blast that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing it all next week at the Super Bowl, because that's where we're at. We're headed to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. We're going to get there Sunday. We're going to be broadcasting, giving you a lot of features, and of course, be there for media day. But today I want to talk on the Sports Parade magazine video blast blog. I want to talk about none other than Manny Te'o. And if no one has heard that, if you've been sleeping under a rock, Manny Te'o is this kid from Notre Dame, All-American, Heisman Trophy runner-up, sensational story, but it came to light that the kid was either duped, or as they say, catfish. That's the new term, catfish, for being hustled, scammed, whatever you want to call it, into thinking he had a girlfriend when he didn't, but it was for 3 years. Now, a few topics I want to go back on the timeline for this Manny Te'o, Notre Dame player timeline. Since 2009, he's been telling everyone in the media, campus, anyone that will listen, that the love of his life, his girlfriend, his 3 years on Notre Dame's campus, that he's growing up from 19 to 22. This is the love of his life. He's a Samoan and converted to be a Mormon. And I say those things because I'm going to get into it a little bit later. But this was the love of his life. Then, as we fast forward back to during the football season, early on in the football season, his grandmother dies tragically. That's tragic when you lose your grandmother. But also, he said on the same day that his grandmother died, lo and behold, his girlfriend died. I mean, that's just tragic. He said he was going to play for her. He was pointing up to the sky. It was all of these things that he said, that inspired him. Then, allegedly, on December 3rd, follow me with the timeline, on December 3rd, he says, well, I get a call. The phone is from my girlfriend. I know she's dead, but it's a woman, and the woman says that this was all a scam, this was a hoax, there never was who you thought was your girlfriend. Okay, December 3rd. December 10th, at Heisman Trophy ceremony leading up to the Heisman announcement, he says, you know what, my girlfriend is what inspired me. She was the love of my life. I still live and breathe for her, and if this award comes to me, it'll be because of my inspiration that I got from her. Mind you, he found out on December 3rd it was a hoax. His world was rocked and shocked. December 26th, a couple of weeks before the bowl game, the national title picture, he has his coach and his AD, the whole story, the story of the scam. His AD puts the Notre Dame reputation on the line and his own reputation by getting out there and saying he's crying, and I've never met anyone so innocent. I've never met a kid that's so gullible and naive, and the saddest part is that he'll never be able to trust again. Are you kidding me? He's 22 years old, a grown-ass man. You're telling me, you're going to sit there and tell me, as an AD, a 60-some-year-old man, that you've never met anyone more innocent and naive than a 22-year-old man? A 22-year-old man? Do you not have any kids? Do you never have grandkids? Have you ever been to a kindergarten class or a daycare center? That's people that are naive. Not a man. Doesn't address you. Well, if you found out on December 3rd this was a lie, why did you tell national reporters at a Heisman Trophy ceremony that you were still grieving the loss of your girlfriend? And people say, well, maybe he was just embarrassed. He was a liar, no matter what. At the very least, he was a liar. Whether he was complicit in a scam to get sympathy votes or just sick, who knows? But how can you trust this guy going forward? And I'm going to say something. It's not going to be about race, but it is about classism. You know, how many times have I heard over the past few days regarding this story from national media that says, well, he's a Mormon. And what does that mean, he's a Mormon? That's like you're trying to hold that religion higher than other religions? Whether he's a Baptist, whether he's a Catholic, whether he's an Orthodox Jew, whether he's a witness. What does that have to do with it that he's a Mormon? That means he's a Mormon, that somehow, some way, he should have known over a 3-year period that who he was talking to was not a real person? I mean, what's that? Several times since '09, when he started telling this story, he would tell anybody that would listen about it. He'd fall asleep with his girlfriend. She had a tragic car accident where she almost died, and they'd have the phone in ICU to listen to him sleep because the sound of his voice was her. She allegedly was a Stanford student, volleyball player, All-American, but she never went to see her. She's in the hospital. She's lay dying, near death from a car accident. You never go to see her? Really? That's the route you want to go with it. That's what you want to go. Then you fast forward. He dies on the same day as your grandmother, but she's in the hospital for leukemia. You never went to see her. You didn't go to the funeral. You never physically saw this woman, but you told everybody since '09 that when you first met her, when you first held her hand, when you used to go on walks with her. That was a lie. So now they're trying to make this boy, this grown-ass 22-year-old man into some kind of choir boy. He's going to be doing an interview later this week with Katie Couric, where he's going to say, well, it's not just him that was duped. The father and the mother will be on that crying too. We all used to conference call and do prayer vigils and prayer services. Don't try to clean this up after $1 million fixers like Scandal. You've gotten with $1 million people that their job is to clean up messes, to make it seem plausible, to make it seem like it makes sense. If it smells like a skunk and it looks like a skunk, it's a skunk. It's not a rose. It's not sweet smelling. This boy is either a pathological liar or he's mentally unstable. You take your pick. A lot of it reminds me of Ricky Williams with the social anxiety disorder. But anybody that thinks that any NFL team out there, any NFL fan, if you want this boy, this man on your team, you better think long and hard, baby. Because guess what? You headed for disaster with him as an NFL player because something ain't right with this boy. Don't let anybody try to say that he was just a good kid. This is a straight up lie. Well, that's been our first video blast. Monday before the Super Bowl, Monday after the championship games, we're going to do our Sports Magazine podcast. Remember, you can go to YouTube now, Sports Parade Magazine channel, YouTube. And we hope you enjoyed this. And remember, go to sportsparademagazine.com. You can pull up this video blast every day. You also can pull up all of the archive of the Sports Parade Magazine podcast. We want to thank everyone for making Sports Parade Magazine podcast the fastest growing podcast in the country, now over 25,000 listeners. I do thank you. Once again, I'm Mark Clark, and I give it to you straight with no chaser, baby. And we'll be right back at you, talking some more in the world of sports tomorrow.